In this lesson, we're going to take a look at mattes, and we're also going to take a look at layer styles. So I have a Photoshop file that I have created, and the Photoshop file has two layers. And you can see that one layer has a layer style, and it's the text, and it has a gradient overlay layer style on it. And the other layer is just a image layer. And then I imported that into After Effects. And in After Effects, if I open up the comp, I can see the background, which is just we don't even need that. We have the texture layer, which is in the back. And then we have the vision layer, which is a shape layer. It's converted into a shape layer, so you can see all of the quality and don't have to deal with the font issues. So if we look at the layer itself, it has, if we twirl this open, it has layer styles. So the layer styles from Photoshop get imported into After Effects, which means that you can animate things like the gradient itself. So if I wanted to animate the gradient over time, I can do that. So for example, on this first keyframe, I'm going to click on the stopwatch for colors. And then let's say move forward to 1 second here, and then I have the colors. Let's say I were to swap or change the gradient, and I'm just clicking on the gradient stops and getting some different colors here. And I click OK on that. And then if I scrub through the timeline, you can see that you can animate the layer style that got imported from Photoshop, which is pretty cool. So select all those keyframes and I'll ease those. I'll go into the graph editor and then I'll make adjustments there. And taking a look at how that looks, get something like that. So that's one thing I wanted to mention in this lesson. The second thing is mattes. So if we take a look at your switches right now, you have these particular sets of switches, but if you toggle the switches, you have a column called mode, which is the blending mode. You have a column called track matte, and then a parent and link column. And the track matte is what we want to take a look at here. So the order of the layers is really important. And what we want to do is create an effect where the texture in the background shows through the text. So the way to do that is to select the background layer that has the track matte option. So what the track matte is going to do is it's going to look at the values that are in the layer above, and it's going to do something. It's going to interact with the layer below. So if I go to the track matte option, you see track matte option, you see 4 options. There's alpha matte, alpha inverted, then there's luma and luma inverted. So if I choose alpha matte, you can see what happens here. So everything, all the information in the background layer is now displayed through the contents of the layer above it. Right? So if I were to take this vision layer and I were to move it around, you can see what's happening. You can get a nice animation where the background is showing through text. So that's one thing. I'll just back up here and just undo that. I want to get back to the beginning. Okay. The other thing is, so now that this track matte interacted with this, it's kind of like you don't have use of that background layer anymore, but you can bring it back and we can animate that too. So for example, if I select this layer, this is the one that has the track matte applied to it. If I duplicate it, you can hit Command D or Control D to duplicate. That will throw it up on the top. We actually want it to be on the bottom. Now it's going to look weird because remember that the word vision has all of this texture detail inside of it, and it's mirrored right on top of each other. First thing I'm going to do is going to turn off the track matte here. And the second thing that we can do is we can animate this background. So once I start moving this, you're going to see the word vision. So that creates kind of a cool effect. So if I start, let's say I start here, and we'll animate on the position property, so I'm going to hit the P key on the keyboard to bring up position. I'm going to click on the stopwatch here. Let's say over a second, I want that to move up. So I'll move that up. And we'll get kind of like this weird effect. And again, we'll ease these keyframes, F9. And then you can do your adjustments in the graph editor, just this minor adjustment there. You can see what that looks like. So it's the same texture, but we're animating behind. And you can add other effects too if you wanted to, like a drop shadow and things like that. So in this lesson, just to recap, we took a look at two things. We took a look at layer styles imported over from Photoshop. And then the second thing was the track matte options here.